Welcome to the home of the DIY movement, where we build stuff and paint things.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another Way Back Wednesday, man. We're back in it. We're talking about the Blue 64 that started the channel. And I was just flipping through all my Google Photos trying to get what I'm going to put on this video, man. And I found this shirt here. This is around the time we went to Las Vegas, 2018, I believe. And man, Vegas used to be a lot of fun, man. Like, used to be cheap, like Fremont Street, like cheap gambling, cheap drinks, cheap food, man. But when we went last October for the Super Show, man, nothing was cheap about Las Vegas. Anyways, get into the video here, man. I took a picture of this shirt. I didn't want to buy it, but I also wanted to keep it, so I just took a picture of it, man. It's Where's Waldo? It says ball so hard, mother truckers want to find me. Yeah, man. Speaking of cheap, this was the rotisserie that I bought. I bought this on eBay, man. It's still sold on eBay, I believe. I haven't checked in a few months. At the time, this thing, I want to say, was like $700. I think it might have been $650. I had to go pick it up, if I remember right. I forgot where. Man, don't get me lying. I know I had to go pick it up, though. CR3000. It is, I did a video on it. It's the cheapest rotisserie money can buy. It works. Here, I still have it. I've had, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 cars on it since this video, or since this picture. It's still, you know, doing its job. It's pretty well used. If I were to put another car on it, I'm definitely going to go through it and make sure everything is still good. It's a good buy. It fits the 64. It fits X-frames. It fits. That's all I've had on it was X-frame cars. You do have to modify the way the rear bolts down to the rotisserie. The front bolts down to the front body mounts on the Firewall just fine. The rear, you have to chop them off and extend them if you don't want the things hanging off the end. You could probably get away with it hanging off the end, but I chopped them and I moved them, and here we are. This was brand new. I was super excited. I was like, man, we're gonna jump into rotisserie restoration, man. Got an old punching bag there, man. The shop is still young. Got the bumpers wrapped in plastic. Got my little Miller-Matic 211 right there under the red table. Oh, I think that's a plasma on the table there. I'm not sure. It's been a while, but the shop definitely looks a little different now. But, you know, going through these old pictures here, you know, kind of takes me back, man. So this was the rotisserie that I bought for the, you know, for all the cars you've seen on the channel. You know, like I said in the previous Way Back Wednesday, man, I paid 10 grand for this car. And this picture right here is a good example of how to turn $10,000 into $2,000. Just take a car apart, unbolt everything, and then have it in pieces, and you just instantly kill the value of what you have. Man, I've seen it happen so many times, man. But you just, you know, you got to push through it. So right here, I'm lifting it up off the frame in preparation for the rotisserie. Back then, I had a batting cage in the shop, man. The young man used to play baseball, and we had a little batting cage on a pulley system. So we had like an indoor batting cage for the tee and soft toss and stuff like, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, this is the car. I lifted it up, snapped a picture. You can see at this point, you guys watch my videos, I'm always talking about strapping the car down across the front of the Firewall. In this video, it's not strapped down. This was before I learned that you should strap them down. So from here on out, man, gotta strap these cars down, or else they're back in heavy and that thing's gonna fall off. So here we are, man. The Eagle has landed. We're almost looking like a professional shop here. We got the body on the rotisserie. We got the frame next to it on skates. And man, I was feeling real good about the situation right here. I'm like, man, you know, feel like I know what I'm doing, even though we're just winging the entire thing. We're constantly learning as we go. We're, you know, every car is different. You learn something every time, man. But at this point on this car, I felt a sense of accomplishment because I got my own shop. I got my own rotisserie. I got my own lift, and we're doing a restoration. Yeah, I remember this point right here. I was gutting the car, gutting all the wiring, and at this point, this was my third Impala. We started out with the 62, 63. This is a 64. This is the third one we put together. And I was still kind of unsure of what to throw away and what to keep. So I made a phone call to a friend of mine at the time, and I was like, man, do I just throw all this shit away? Like, is all this stuff available to buy? And he was like, man, everything is available to buy for the 64. Just throw it all away. If you're going to restore it, throw it all away, man. So I was like, all right. So I just started cutting stuff, unbolting stuff, and chunking stuff, you know. But you can see, man, the thing is rock solid. That's all original floor pan, toe board, everything. Real good car. Started getting into the frame here. And now I notice, you know, uppers and lowers are like sold already assembled, like brand new. Cross shafts with new bushings and new ball joints, like already brand new. I don't know if they were sold like that in 2018, but I recently ran across stuff on eBay, and I'm thinking for the 63 coming up here, I don't know if it's worth busting everything down. I mean, maybe, but you know, I don't know what a set of uppers. If a set of uppers costs $250, like preloaded with cross shafts and ball joints and bushings, I mean, by the time you buy the bushings and the ball joints and get stuff powder coated, I mean, you're in them for like $200, so you're saving $50. So we'll get into that once we get into the 63. But basically, I busted all the suspension down. I've seen some videos on YouTube of guys taking control arms apart, and I think the easiest method is to use an air hammer and just kind of pry them out, lube them up, and use the air hammer and jam them out. I see guys trying to beat them out by hand with a hammer and a chisel. Man, you can be there all day. Seen guys blow them out with a torch. That's one way, but an air hammer will pop them right out. Got everything loaded up on the trailer here. Used to have this trailer. Trailer's still around. A buddy of mine owns it right now. But yeah, this whole all these pictures and everything, it's all documented on video on the playlist for, I believe it's called 64 Impala Restoration playlist on the channel. Forgot what I said back then. That was 8 years ago, but basically I got everything powder coated, gloss black, sandblast powder coat, and everything powder coated really nice. I don't think there was anything that I had to replace. And one thing I want to talk about is when you tow in these frames, and somebody told me a long time ago, you got to tow them upside down like this, strap them down. You can strap them down tight. If you tow them right side up and you try and strap them down, for one, it's probably going to move on the trailer unless you strap it down really tight. And if you strap it down really tight, you run the risk of bending the frame at the corners and bringing it down, and then it may tweak it. So always, you know, when I tell these people, or sometimes I see people towing a frame right side up, and I just shake my head. It's best to tow them upside down like that. So you can see the frame here is back from powder coat. We're going to be doing pretty much the same thing here on the 63 coming up pretty soon. You see the 64 on the rotisserie in the back, and then you see that Camaro I had that Pat said was gay. It's in the garage. Here we are. We got the frame unloaded, and we're getting ready to put it together with all new parts. Here it is, disc brake kit in the front, all new everything. Disc in the back. This particular disc kit, I believe, is Eldorado, Cadillac Eldorado rear disc, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't think I'm gonna run those again. Couple reasons. For one, You can't run 13s. You have to grind the caliper down to run 13s on that Eldorado kit. Once you grind the calipers down, you introduce the whole rust factor, and stuff just starts rusting all up in there. So I don't think I'm going to run that anymore. In fact, I would probably rather run drums in the rear, which is what I did on the 60, instead of running this disc brake kit. Although it does work, and that car did stop good. It's just I don't like the idea of, I mean, you got all brand new stuff, and then you have to grind the calipers. Now I believe they make rear disc kits that you don't have to grind for 13s. I'm not sure. I think ABS makes them. I'm not sure. Don't get me lying on that. But I just don't like the idea of all brand new stuff and then having to grind stuff, and then stuff is going to rust. I mean, unless you take it all apart and coat it and all that. But most likely going to run drum brakes in the rear from here on out. Yep. So here we are. We're getting ready to spray stuff. I remember I painted this car. We're going to get into the paint in the next video, but I painted it with Shopline, and that was quite a learning experience. But this was before we had the little paint room that you see on the videos now of us painting everything. But I had the rims powder coated, and all I did was scuff them. Cleaned up the steering wheel. The thing had like no cracks. I don't think I had to repair that wheel at all. And I believe I painted the skirts. You see, we got the little paint stands there. Those things are like brand new, man. Now they're all ragged out. Now I basically need to buy some new ones. They've been through a lot, but we're just making shit work, man. We got vice grips, we got wood set up, you know, and everything to get it situated. And we basically painted all this stuff with the door wide open. So essentially painting outside. Yeah, this picture right here, I just wanted to throw this in there, man, to, you know, emphasize. I know guys who are putting these cars together or who build cars, they already know this, but man, these cars take up a lot of space, man. They take up a lot of real estate when you completely disassemble a car. Here we have it in the house with some old busted couch right there that we had upstairs. That I remember when we took that thing downstairs to throw away, that thing was a beast. But man, you got your clean stuff in one room, you know, all your glass and upholstery. And then you got like body parts laying all over the place. Then you got your chrome stuff in another section. And then you have like your frame in another section. And then you have like your car, the actual body, in another section. And then you have like another section of all new stuff in boxes. Like before you know it, you have a whole house worth of car parts everywhere, just taking up space, man. So, you know, people need to factor that in, man. When you take a car to a shop to get work done, it takes up real estate, man. So for somebody to take a car and then be like undecided or let the car sit at the shop, you know, you're taking up space, you know, like. So I just want to point out that how much space these cars take up when they're disassembled. Like literally the whole house, every room has car parts scattered. And I know the guys who build, I know the DIY movement knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, moving on to the Firewall of the 64. Got it tacked in. I do things a little bit different now. I believe on this car right here, I think I used tiger hair on the seams, which is a little bit overkill. I still like to use Duraglass or all metal on welded seams that may have pinholes. I prefer no pinholes. That's why I got Bobby on board. But if it does have pinholes, fiberglass or all metal, but probably preferably fiberglass. This is a little excessive, but most of it got sanded off. But I do remember I used to use either the tiger hair or the kitty hair. I think it was the tiger hair, which is like super reinforced fiberglass. The stuff is like concrete. but it worked, you know. I mean, you spread it on, you let it dry, and you sand most of it off, and then you go on top of it with regular filler. But that's the Firewall. We shaved it, and you know, now we offer, or I offer the shave Firewall kits on the website. You guys can check out the description for that. 63, 64 are by far the most popular. I try to keep those in stock. Free shipping on everything. Here we are, man, in preparation for Sandblast. Like I say, this was the first car for Sandblast, man. So I was super excited about what's finna take place right here. We're still using the same Sandblast guy. He's kind of local to us. He comes out, he's mobile. You can see him getting down right there, man. Let me pause this right here. Looking at this picture right here, man, first thing that screams out to me is, and I know for a fact because it's happened, the wheels on the rotisserie. The wheels on the rotisserie are, in this picture right here, are getting ruined. They're getting filled with sand. The bearings are getting filled with sand or you know, crushed glass, essentially. And the bearings are getting shot. So now what I do, looking back, now what I do is I bag all the wheels on the rotisserie with a little grocery bag. You could wrap them in shrink wrap, but a grocery bag, plastic grocery bag, you can just kind of jack it up a little bit, put it on there tight in a knot, and basically bag all the wheels to keep them free of sand. And you're going to save your wheels on the rotisserie, because I know for a fact once this guy was done, I really liked the work he did, but once he was done, that rotisserie was rolling really wonky, man. And it was brand new. Like, this was brand new, first car on there. So definitely learned my lesson with that. But man, he charged 125 bucks to do what he did, and I think he was just starting out. I mean, now he comes around. When we call him, he does work. You know, the price definitely went up. Still cheap, because he, you know, we've been using him. He, you know, so we kind of have a little relationship. But man, he charged me $125 to sandblast that floor, which is nuts. Here it is, all sandblasted out. Man, that's original floors, braces, rockers, the whole thing, man. The thing was cherry. He did a hell of a job, man, but you can see what kind of mess it makes. Huge mess all over the roof of the house and everything. And my poor wheels for the rotisserie right there, just taking a beating. And actually, the rotisserie can go up one more click, and you can get the whole car sideways. I didn't realize that at the time, but this is enough for what he was trying to do. Excuse me, but definitely clean, brand new, bare metal, man, for 125 bucks. Can't beat it. All right, we're coming up on about 18 minutes here, man, so we're gonna wrap this one up. But you can see I got this thing coated in the oxide red, or red oxide SPI epoxy, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first time I used SPI products. I believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but I know I didn't use it on the 63. So yeah, this must have been the first time I used SPI products. My friend, fellow painter body guy in Kentucky, referred me to the SPI stuff, and I've been hooked since, man. And this was the first time that I sprayed it. And I remember him telling me back then, the stuff is like liquid crack, man. It's going to get you addicted. And it did. I love their products, man. I wish they sold more base coats, but as far as epoxies, primers, and clears, I'm sold. I'm sold on SPI stuff. You guys see it on the channel all the time, and I'm not being paid to say anything or any of this stuff, but this was the car right here. With the floors done, you can see the batting cage suspended up in the air. We used to do a lot in the shop, man. We used to have batting practice. We'd have primer practice. We used to grill and watch the Astros, and man, we just had a lot going on back then. But yep, this is where we're going to wrap it up, man. I think the next one, we're going to get into the bodywork stage and the mistakes I made on the Sandblast, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and y'all stay tuned for the next one, man. Thanks for watching.